This lesson and the last one is that capacity is more of a colloquial term. Okay, we use pints and gallons and liters and stuff like that. Volume deals specifically with cubic units. So what I mean by that is, if we were to take a cube that is 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter, it would have a volume of 1 cubic centimeter. Okay, this is the difference between volume and capacity. So if we look specifically at cubic inches, 1 cubic inch we can say is 1 inch times 1 inch times 1 inch to give you 1 inch to the power of 3, or we call 1 inch cubed. Okay, likewise, we can do the same thing for cubic feet, and this is where the conversions get in, and we'll do a little more with this with 10C. But if we have 1 cubic foot, it's the exact same logic. It is 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot. But we know that 1 foot is 12 inches. So if it's 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot, it's the same as saying 12 inches by 12 inches by 12 inches, which we can then multiply all three of those together to give you 1,728 cubic inches. Okay, so you can use those. That now is a conversion. 1 foot is equal to 1,728 cubic inches. You do the same thing for cubic yards. Cubic yard is 1 by 1 by 1 yard, which is 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet. And 3 times 3 times 3 is 27 cubic feet. And then you do the exact same thing with inches. Okay, we know if there's 3 feet here, that there's going to be 3 times 12, or 36 inches in that yard. So we can multiply 36 by 36 by 36. And if I could remember where I put my notes down, I'd be able to tell you what that is. Yeah. Where did I put my notes? What was that, John? 46,000. 46,656 cubic inches. Good. Okay. This right here is the basis of what we're going to be doing in 10C. Okay. In 10-3, all you have to know is what's on your formula sheet. 1 cubic yard is 27 cubic feet. 1 cubic yard is 46,000. I don't think 46,656 cubic inches is on your formula sheet. But you can go cubic yards to cubic feet and then cubic feet to cubic inches, and it works just fine. Okay, so a couple of really quick conversions. Same as before. Let's do 4 cubic yards. Okay. Let's do 4 cubic yards into cubic feet, same as before. And I'm going to write it a little bit differently. Okay, I'm not writing it as C-U-Y-D because it's 4 letters, and why would I write 4 letters when I can write 3? Okay, yards to the power of 3 is the same thing as a cubic yard. I'm going to write it as 4 yards, and we know from above that there is 27 cubic feet per cubic yard, which would give you 108 cubic feet in 4 cubic yards. Likewise, if we have 72 cubic feet, we can turn that into cubic inches, cubic yards. Cubic feet times, it would be 1 cubic yard over 27 cubic feet, which would give you 2.667 yards cubed. Because we're looking to the nearest tenth, it would be 2.7 cubic yards. Okay. Exact same stuff as we're doing before. Exactly the same. Okay, so then we go down to, I'm going to go down to number 4, which should be number 3, but there's a typo in my notes. So we'll go down to number 4, hauling dirt with a wheelbarrow. Riley's using grandfather's wheelbarrow to move topsoil to a garden. Is that light flickering again? No? No. The wheelbarrow holds 2.5 cubic feet of soil. How many cubic yards can Riley take in 28 loads? Okay. This first line here, the wheelbarrow holds 2.5 cubic feet. What that tells me is one load is 2.5 cubic feet, like so. And we want to figure out how many cubic yards Riley can take in 28 loads. So we got to figure out the total volume of, or the total cubic feet he would take in 28 loads first. So 28 loads times 2.5 cubic feet over one load would give you 70 cubic feet. And then we can convert the 70 cubic feet into cubic yards. Give them a grand whopping total of 2.6 cubic yards. Okay. Clear as mud so far? Next one we'll do is metric. Okay, it's the exact same thing, but the numbers work where it's different from what we've done before is normally with metric we would use the metric staircase, but because we're dealing with cubic units here, the numbers get really, really messy. Okay, so we're gonna, you actually, if you notice, in the volume column of your first table in your formula sheet, there is equalities conversion signs that we can use to convert the volume for metric. Okay, same thing as we saw before. 1 cubic kilometer is 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer, and we know that there is 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. So we would take 1,000 meters, multiply it by 1,000 meters, and multiply it by another 1,000 meters to give you
1 billion meters.
1 billion, yeah. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1 followed by 9 zeros, 1 billion, which if you're scientifically inclined can write it as 1 times 10 to the power of 9 if you want. Okay. Likewise, a hectometer is 1,000,000, a decameter is 1,000. 1 meter cubed is 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter is just 1 meter cubed. Okay, a decimeter, 0.001. A cubic centimeter, well, we know a cubic centimeter is 1 by 1 by 1 centimeter, and we know that 1 centimeter is 0.01 meters. 0.01 for all three. You multiply 0.01 by itself 3 times, and it gives you 0.000001 cubic meters, or 1 times 10 to the power of negative 6 cubic meters if you are so inclined that way. Okay. Likewise, 1 millimeter cubed is 1 billionth of a cubic meter. So 1 followed by 8 zeros and a 1, or 0 followed by 8 zeros and a 1. Okay, so we'll do the exact same thing that we did before, where we compare units by converting them. There we go. Okay, so start with the first one, 540 millimeters cubed. We want to figure out if it's equal to, greater than, or less than 540 cubic centimeters. Now, do you have a conversion that go directly from millimeters cubed to centimeters cubed on your formula sheet? If you do, what is it? Because I would be inclined to say not. What conversion do you have for millimeters on your formula sheet? You could do inches. Let's try and stay with metric though, so stay to the first table. Because notice the millimeters and the centimeters are both metric. Wouldn't be that. If you look on your formula sheet, guys, down at the bottom, the very bottom of the first table, there's millimeters cubed to cubic meters. Okay, that's the one that you have to use. You have to go from millimeters cubed to cubic meters, and then from cubic meters to centimeters cubed. It's a two-step process. There's not a direct way to get there. Okay, so if we convert the 540 millimeters cubed, okay, millimeters cubed, we know that there is 0.000000001 cubic meters in a millimeter cubed. That's 8 zeros followed by a 1. And if you multiply that, depending on your calculator, it'll give you 0.0000054. Or it could potentially give you 5.4 times 10 to the power of negative 7 cubic meters. Okay, either of which is perfectly acceptable. And then you would convert the cubic meters into cubic centimeters. So 0.000000054 meters cubed. And I'm told from my formula sheet that 1 centimeter cubed over 0.000001 cubic meters would give us 0.54 centimeters cubed. Which means that 540 cubic centimeters is bigger than 540 cubic millimeters. That makes sense because a centimeter is bigger than a millimeter. And it's 540 for both. Two-step process, make sure you keep track of your zeros. Okay, everybody has this? All right, so we'll skip down to number 6 here. Okay. An aquarium has dimensions of 51 by 25 by 30 centimeters. First thing we want to figure out is what is the volume. Okay, volume of a rectangular prism, which this can be assumed to be, is length times width times height. It should be on your formula sheet on the back side. Okay, so then we can just substitute in the numbers we have. 51 centimeters times 25 centimeters times 30 centimeters would give us a volume on that tank of 38,250 cubic centimeters. And then we want to figure out what the volume of the aquarium is in liters. Okay, well, if you notice right at the bottom here, 1 cubic centimeter is equal to 1 milliliter. Okay, So if we have 28,500 or 38,250 cubic centimeters, that's the same as 38,250 milliliters. So 250 centimeters cubed is equal to 38,250 milliliters. Now that you have milliliters, it's a capacity. We can use capacity conversions like we did before. Okay, to go from milliliters to liters is a step up 3 on the metric staircase, which would be like multiplying by 10 to the power of -3. So 38,250 milliliters is equal to 38,250 times 10 to the power of -3 liters, or 38.25 liters. Okay, so we'll skip down to number 8. Okay. And that'll be the last one for lesson 9 here, and then that puts us in a pretty good place to do lesson 10 as well, and give you a little bit of time to work, which is delightful, because that makes tomorrow really easy. Give you lots of time to work. So, the volume of a paper cup is 280 cubic centimeters. We want to figure out how many cups you can fill from a Mason juice dispenser that contains 3,800 mils of juice. So from this one, same as before, we know that 1 cup is equal to 280 cubic centimeters, okay? And what we saw from the last one is that 280 cubic centimeters is the same as 280 milliliters. So if we have 1 cup is 280 milliliters and we have 3,800 mils of juice, you can figure out how many cups it takes. Do your conversion there, and you find it gives you 13.57 cups. But because it doesn't fill that 14th cup all the way, your answer would be 13 cups. Unless everyone chips in, it takes a little bit less than you. Any questions on volume? It's all largely the same.